All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Karolina, and she's going to pronounce her last name for us.
Thank you so much. It's Rzadkowolska. It's Slavic. It's really hard to say.
Gotcha. That is awesome. That is awesome. And we're going to get to hear a little bit more about her dreams and goals and just about her. So, Karolina, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here today.
Yeah, me too. Excited to have you. And we like to jump right in. So, if you could just start with telling us a little bit about yourself and some of the things you'd like to do for fun, that would be great.
Awesome. So I'm an author and an alcohol-free life coach, and my world really kind of changed around 4 years ago when I made a huge pivot, not only in the habits that I had in my life, but also in my career. And since then, I really feel like I've been living my dream life. It's like I was sleepwalking before, and now I'm awake to this one and only life I'll ever have and really living it to the fullest. And so doing things that not only fulfill my goals and my ambitions is important to me, but also like you said, having fun, right? So I really love to travel. Like I'm honestly obsessed with travel. So that's a lot of ways I have fun. And even when I can't travel to a new location, I love to be like a tourist in my own city. So I'll go on like try to find new hikes or new walks, just like really kind of getting back into the mindset of seeing something for the first time again. It fills us with a state of wonder and can really make us see the world in a different way again. So I love to travel. I love to explore. And I also am a huge reader. So it's totally for me. I do it for fun. And I love to learn basically. So whether I'm reading a new personal development book or even a history book or whatever it is, to me, that's a lot of fun. I also love just to like hang out with friends and, explore and try new hobbies, different active things and just like think of how I want to feel every day and try to do a little bit of that to make those feelings happen. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And so tell us a little bit more about the what you did beforehand and what it's like being an author and alcohol-free life coach right now.
Yeah. So, it's so interesting. Alcohol in our society is often like not rarely ever talked about. Like we talk about it when we want to go hang out with our friends or go drinking on the weekend. And then the only other time it's really talked about in this society is when someone has a very severe problem, right? And it's like, okay, they have alcoholism and they have to go to AA and recovery. And I never found myself in that last boat. I often found myself in this middle ground where, I drank on the weekend and I drank to hang out with my friends and I did it as a way to, unwind from a stressful work day. And it wasn't what you would call that traditional drinking problem that, that we kind of hear about. And yet at the same time, I felt so unfulfilled. I would wake up every single Monday morning feeling stuck, depressed, like I was 5 steps backwards from where I wanted to be in life. And just like I couldn't quite figure it out. And I tried so hard to get healthier and I tried so hard to get mindful. And I would meditate, I would, drink green juices, I would do all the right things during the week. But every weekend I would either socialize or just drink some wine with Netflix. And every Monday I was back, it felt like square -5, basically. And I honestly didn't realize then that a lot of this like drinking on the weekend I was doing, one, I mean, everyone is doing it. Like, it's not some kind of anomaly. Like that's literally how we're conditioned to function as adults. But what I really didn't realize is that like I couldn't wait for the weekend. It was like Monday through Friday was a chore to get through. And I just couldn't wait for the weekend to relax and wind, just have my fun. And what I really noticed after I took a break from alcohol is that I wasn't fulfilled with my week, like it wasn't giving me a sense of fulfillment or happiness. And until I got the clarity by taking a step away from alcohol, and really taking a break from it, I didn't realize how many dreams I had on my heart that I was snoozing on. Like I always wanted to write a book, always, ever since I was like 6 years old. And I didn't even write like a page as a drinker, like I just completely was not doing that at all. And I was just making excuses up about how hard it is and how, they don't publish writers anymore, whatever. I also wanted to like launch a business and make an impact in the world. And I also kind of snoozed on that. I told myself these false stories that entrepreneurs or like venture capitalists that have a lot of money or some tech genius idea. And I just didn't do anything. And so I was kind of stuck in this 9 to 5 job, like just living in this rut, trying my best to do the things to be healthy, to be mindful. But it really wasn't until I took a look at like my drinking habit that I did every weekend to discover that I wanted more. I like deserved more in life. I was made for more, you know? And when I took that break from alcohol, suddenly everything clicked. Like I knew I wanted to do more. And I finally got the discipline and the courage and the confidence to start doing something about it. And ever since then, I've been creating the career of my dreams. I did write the book, you know, I left the day job. I find my weekends are filled with so many more fulfilling activities and really just a much happier person.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And so take us back a little bit to your motivation every day. And so why you keep doing what you're doing. Is it just that fulfillment or is there something else tied to it?
Absolutely. So I think my deeper why is really tied to this idea that, as far as I know, right, as far as we know, I have this one life to live. You know, maybe reincarnation exists, but who knows?
Yeah.
So if I only have this one life to live, like I already spent almost a decade asleep, you know, like just asleep to the wheel of my life, asleep on my dreams, kind of doing things for other people, you know, like it was really easy for me to get advanced degrees. For example, I have two masters. I would get promoted in my job, but like those things were for other people's validation, other people's acceptance of me. You know, like I said, my own dreams kind of were on the back burner. It wasn't something I even considered was possible for me. So this idea that I have this one life, kind of like when I took the break from alcohol, it kind of rocked me into awareness and awakeness. I was like, oh my gosh, if I want this stuff, if I want to have a different life, I need to, you know, I need to make these changes. And then as I kind of got into it, as I became this, you know, life coach and I started helping a lot of people, I honestly noticed that another huge need of mine was starting to get fulfilled. And that was my need to contribute and make a difference and really make an impact in this world. And I didn't recognize, even though that's what I wanted always in my career, I didn't recognize how working for like a big organization, you know, even though they say they're making a difference, like it's kind of hard to feel that sometimes. And so, you know, when I started being able to really contribute to people's lives to improve them from like, you know, 180 differences for them to help them find their fulfillment and, you know, take a break from alcohol and just discover their happier, healthier selves. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this was the piece that was missing for me. So, you know, it's this sense of fulfillment, but I think the fulfillment really comes from the sense that you're giving back, that your life matters, that you have meaning in your work, and that you're creating a legacy based on like not only living your life to the fullest, but because of that, it's this like ripple effect that is helping other people all around you and all the people that you either serve through your community or through, you know, your clients and stuff like that. So yeah, fulfillment and impact, I would say, are those two big ones for me.
I love that. I love that a lot. Now we're going to jump into your dreams, goals, and just vision for your life and your company. So tell us a little bit about that. What are your hopes, dreams, your vision for your alcohol-free life coaching company, and if you're going to author more books and all that good stuff?
Oh, such a good question. So, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, all the dreams that I've already accomplished were like pipe dreams, literally pipe dreams. You know, like I never thought they were kind of like, I like to explain it like if a genie had come to me with like, here's your three magical wishes, I would have known what I wanted to wish for, but I didn't actually do anything about it. Right. And so 4 years ago kind of jump started this like realization that I'm the only one responsible for making these things happen, you know? And so one of my biggest wishes ever was to write and publish a book with like a traditional publisher. You know, I know self-publishing is a really cool format these days that lots of people can use, but I really wanted to have the, you know, traditional book out with a publisher. And, you know, I got a book deal from one of the biggest companies in the world, HarperCollins, in publishing. And so I like fulfilled that dream. And now my book's coming out January 4th. And so as that dream is like in the works, you know, to me, it would be a huge goal to hit the New York Times bestseller list. And that's a really hard goal to reach. And it might not happen with this book. I understand that. I'm going to work my ass off to try, you know, but I do plan to write more books in the future because I think I have this dream for a reason, you know, because when you get to that list, it really means that your book has been, it's kind of like it spread a little movement. It has this movement around it and it's impacted a lot of people. And the book I've written, you know, it's really helping people wake them up from their bad habits, from their kind of unconscious conditioning. And I know what a difference it can make because if I would have read this book a few years ago, it would have rocked my world. So that's a huge goal with the book. And then, you know, with the business, same thing. It's like I've already grown to a place where, I left my day job a while ago. I got to the 6-figure mark. I started making more money than I used to make back in my old job. But, there's just so much more to do. There's so many more people to help. There's so many more really cool offerings and programs and modalities to kind of teach to people. And so I'm really interested not only in helping women and some men. I work with really mindful men as well. Not only like get freedom from alcohol and like find this new alcohol-free lifestyle, but also to then, oftentimes like there's a little knock on your heart, when you remove what's no longer serving you, it clears the space for you to know what you really want most, what you really want next. And that's often a really big phase for people is like, okay, now that the bad's out, or I've changed my habits, or I've changed my lifestyle, it really makes space for what you want most. And so just like I did with my life, I'm now pivoting also to help women, discover their next chapter once they're already alcohol free, whether that's launching a business themselves or writing a book themselves. I think I read once that 82% of Americans want to write a book, and I'm pretty sure that like how many people actually do it is a really small percentage. So I think it's like these dreams that I don't know why, like reality just makes us think that they're impossible or that they're unrealistic. And so we kind of just settle into this, whatever life can give me kind of mentality, whoever will hire me or however life. And we have to kind of stop and ask ourselves, like, is that good enough? Like, I do want more. And trying definitely invites in failure, but that's kind of like the only way to success. You have to fail through it to succeed. So yeah, really big dreams in that. And I hope to live in more places as well. To just thinking about my full life, like I'm going to live in Europe next year. And that's a big dream of mine. And so since I love to travel so much, I just really want to experience life in different locations around the world as I continue to keep growing myself and my personal growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Do you know what it takes to hit the New York Times bestseller list?
Yeah. So over 10,000 people have to buy your book in a single week,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah. And so most book sales only have like 1,000 people buy them, or even 100 people buy them, like in the whole life cycle of the book. You know what I mean? So obviously lots of celebrities hit the book. Barack Obama was on the list for a very long time. Lots of celebrities can do it, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a hard one. So it's definitely a goal of mine. But like I said, we're going to try really hard with this book, but I can also see like even if it's not a failure, if this book doesn't get it, because the next one or the next one might, you know what I mean? So it's a really cool way to just see that it's never a no or a closed door, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, I love that. And so is it like you're on it for 1 week when they do that?
Yeah. So you're only on it for that 1 week, and then you'd have to sell another 10,000 books the next week. And sometimes you're competing with other authors who've sold more. So it might be 15,000, 20,000 books, it might be a lot more. And it's also not purely like math either. Like it's a little opinion based. So there's some people who've sold a lot of books and they've never hit the list because like nobody really knows. The editorial kind of opinions kind of matter a little bit too. So it's interesting.
Gotcha. My last question about the New York Times bestseller list. It's always confused me, so I'm glad you know.
Oh, I didn't know either. I had to definitely learn about this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So once you hit it, right, you get the 10,000 books in 1 week. Do you get to have #1 New York Times bestseller on your book forever? Or is it only while it's a New York Times bestseller?
No, yeah, you can put it on your book forever. And so what often happens is a book will hit it as a hardcover, and then people will release a paperback edition. So the paperback edition will have that little symbol on it if the publisher puts it on. And then obviously, yeah, you can use it on all of your resume, social profiles, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it all makes sense now. I've been wondering about this for 22 years of my life. So thank you. I honestly could have just looked it up at any point, but it wasn't that important. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about some of the adversity that you were hitting and when you were taking that first step kind of out of corporate into your career going full time and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say, like, when I think of adversity, it kind of was a few years even behind that because back more. Because like I remember, and I think this is literally how everyone feels, but when you're feeling it, you feel so alone. I remember feeling like there was something just inherently wrong with me. You know, like I wasn't capable. Other people had their lives figured out. Other people knew how to, do the things I wanted to do, but somehow I was broken. I didn't know how. And my relationship with alcohol honestly like really kept me mired in that stuckness because it was so easy to, say like, oh, I'm not going to drink tonight, or I'm only going to have one drink, and then break that promise to myself. So it's like I slowly lost that trust for myself. And I felt like I was the only one. I felt like I was the only one struggling with that, like obviously I knew I wasn't like drinking in the way of like, bottles of vodka hidden in my closet type of a way. But even in this way, which wasn't like as bad as that, it still made me feel so just broken. Like, why can't I figure this out? Why do these other people have it figured out? And I didn't even just think that way about my relationship with alcohol. It was everything, like, why are people happier than me? Why do they get to travel more? Why do other people have, get more money from their job? Why do more people have more friends than me? Right. Like it was this like sense that something was inherently broken or wrong with me. And it really was isolating and lonely because I really didn't talk about it with anyone. I didn't really share it with anyone. And, I think it's such a common way to feel as a human, and especially in your 20s, like you're just kind of thrown into the world and most people have no idea what they want to do, but we're supposed to have this label and this title attached to us at that point, and so that was really, really just like, I almost gave up. Like there was a point where I was like, what if I just have this like same job forever? It's really easy. I'll be fine. It'll give me the paycheck. Like I almost completely just gave up on the things I wanted. But then, when I kind of woke up from that, like complete disempowering belief system, and it really helped to not only change like my patterns with drinking, but also to like start learning about other people's lives and vulnerability. And like, once you start really like putting yourself out there in new communities, like learning like, wow, like everyone's gone through these hard times. Everyone's gone through this kind of maybe this shade of adversity or this shade, or, like it all looks different, but we can find so many similarities in the things that we've all gone through, together. But then I got this, like I said, like my whole worldview changed. Like when I went like even just 50 days without drinking, I was like, oh my God, like if I could do this, I could do anything. And so that kind of confidence really spilled over into other areas of my life. So when it came to launching my business, I really had this like completely new attitude about it. I was just like, everyone starts at the beginning. I'm starting at the beginning. I just have to take one baby step at a time and just really do it consistently. And so it was hard with the full-time job. So I was waking up at 5 a.m. most days, right? I was working in the morning, I was working in the evenings, but I was so hungry. I was so like turned on to this idea that my life could be different if I just put in the effort. And that really like made it almost effortless. Like it was kind of fun, it was like finally I'm learning new things, like especially when you're a beginner and you just start with launching a business, like there's so much to dive into and there's so much that you have at your disposal to try. You know what I mean? Like once you're kind of seasoned, you've tried a lot of it already and you're like, I don't know if that works or that works. You can become a little cynical. But at the very beginning, it's like, like I have so much at my disposal and I'm so excited to kind of jump into this. So I think that like that sense of possibility is what really drove me forward, even though it was really long hours. And, at first it's not that much success, which is kind of true for everyone. One of my favorite things sometimes is looking back at people who I really admire, like really big thought leaders or gurus or influencers, celebrities, however you call them. And sometimes they'll still have their old like Instagram posts or photos up, when they're like total beginners and just starting out, and just seeing like not only the difference in like the quality, but also like them saying like, when I first launched this program, I only had one student sign up, or I had 0 people sign up, and it's so funny to hear someone who's so successful today say something like that, because it's just such a relief that, oh my gosh, everyone starts at the beginning, it's like a rite of passage. And you can't let it mean anything about you. You have to just kind of keep going and know that it's going to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I also love, you mentioned it a little bit ago of just like, as long as you did it and you were consistent and you consistently took those small steps, it was going to grow. And that is just so true. And it's something I'm trying to keep on my head because, I'm in my 20s doing this podcast, and it's like something I'm trying to keep in my head is like, just keep doing the interviews and just like stay positive about it and Plus, I love it. And so I'm in that like morning, evening stage too. And it's just like, I relate with you. So I love that. And I love that the other part that I really like is that you started with you said it was 15 days of sobriety and then you were like, I can do anything.
When I got to 50, that's when I felt like
50
superwoman.
days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, so often it's that we don't like trust ourselves or believe in ourselves. And when we can make that little switch, a lot of things that used to be really scary start to seem a lot more doable because it's like, oh, I did this. I can definitely do this. I can definitely do this. And you hear that a lot. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, if there were one or two people that you could meet right now or types of people that you could meet right now that would help you take the next step in A, getting on the New York Times bestseller list, but B, taking that next step in your company, helping people realize what the knock on their heart is, who would that person be and how would they do it?
Tony Robbins. He's like, I don't know, you could call him almost like the father of personal development. Like there's people before him for sure, but he like changed the whole industry. He created this whole industry. And so, yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tony Robbins, and there's so much that he does when you kind of learn a little bit more about him. There's so much that he does to cultivate and create the feelings, the mood, the energy, and the level of impact he wants to have on a daily basis. Like he doesn't just wake up being Tony Robbins. It's like something he steps into so that he's always ready to be able to act the way he wants to act, if that makes sense, And it's so easy to be like, oh, not today, or I don't feel like it, or whatever it is, kind of our human tendencies. And he's really kind of just mastered our psychology, I think. So I listen to him and read him voraciously. He's got some really great advice and programs, not only on like growing a business or growing yourself, even other things like growing a relationship, like sometimes it's just so incredible, like to have that kind of level of advice. And I've seen him live once. I'm going to see him again pretty soon at his event called Unleash the Power Within. But yeah, to me, he's like my hero. And if I would meet him, like that's like definitely fulfilling a lifelong dream. And I think, meeting him too, like he helps presidents, like he's helped, Serena Williams, he helps athletes, like he's helped so many people throughout his career. So if he had like even just like 4 sentences of advice for me, you know what I mean? I'm sure it would rock my world. But yeah, that's my guy.
That's epic. I actually recommended this book a couple podcasts ago, but there's this book called Giftology, and these people had a really unique way of meeting Tony Robbins. It was kind of cool. So you might want to check out that book. I think it's a good book. But
okay, yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you for that. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's just a strange concept. Just read it and get back to me and let me know what you think. Awesome. Well, I love that. Tony Robbins. Is there anybody else that you can think of, or Tony Robbins is like, love it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like number one. I mean, there's so many people I respect and admire, but sometimes like I rotate, like I'm feeling this person more in this season in my life, and then another person comes in, stuff like that. But yeah, Tony has been like this rock and foundation for quite some time for me.
I bet Tony would love to talk with you.
Why not?
Awesome. Name the most important 1 or 2 things that everyday people can do to help you kind of take those next steps and achieve your dreams.
Yeah. So, there's so much that you could say here, but I think like when you said every day, it really reminds me that like our life is lived in our days. You know what I mean? Like we have these goals and dreams, and we have this like stretch of time, but like it all plays out in our day, and how we like kind of live our everyday. And I think like no matter who you are, I think 2 steps that could be super important for you is one, to get ahead of your day. So, while I was like, when I was drinking, even if I didn't drink the night before, like I was always snoozing, I was always sleeping in, I was always like, I just hated my mornings. And really what that ended up doing for me is feeling frazzled, stressed out, and pretty reactive to everything that came to me, And so one of the things that really changed when I took a break from alcohol is not only did I start liking my mornings a lot more because I woke up with all this energy and felt amazing, but also that I challenged myself to start a morning routine. And so when I started this morning routine, I do some personal growth activities, like the book Miracle Morning is really great by Hal Elrod to just introduce this concept. But you could wake up an hour earlier. You could literally wake up 5 minutes earlier, right? Like just get started somewhere. and just do something for yourself that feels like you're growing, that feels like you're nourishing your dreams, that feels like it's helping you get in the right mind space for the day. So a few activities that I love are meditating, for example. I like also writing down some affirmations, like an affirmation is a statement where you basically say a goal or a dream, but like in the present tense, like it's already happened. So I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I write that 10 times a day. And then a little visualization could be really helpful too, where you actually see it in your mind's eye coming true. And you could also like read. I love reading personal development books, or you could work out, or maybe even like, prep some healthy meals for the day. Like really what you do in that time is kind of up to you, as long as it's like not checking your phone, not getting on email, not just like doing errands for the day, but really setting aside some time for yourself to like prepare for the day. And I think what this does over time is, one, it gives you the space to kind of dream. It gives you the space to really think. It gives you the space like before any of your responsibilities have woken up for the day, like especially if you're a parent, before any of that starts, before the job starts, to really just think and really just to dream and really to just visualize the best future coming true. And I think it changes the way your brain works the rest of your day. Like you're able to have better ideas. You're able to like think of things more clearly. You might have like, in your morning routine, you might discover, oh, I really want to launch a business, and you start fleshing out the idea there. So I think it's just a really cool place to give yourself time to really introspect about what you want in life. And like I said, even like 15 minutes will be a huge benefit to anyone, instead of like waking up, brushing your teeth and then running downstairs and scrambling out of the house, like how many people do it. And I did it for a long time too. So I'd say number one is the morning routine. And then the second thing, and this is something you could also do in your morning routine, I think it's cultivating a state of gratitude, because like when I was describing how I used to live, that person who thought other people had it all better than me, it was such a petty person. I was such a petty, judgmental, insecure person, and obviously there was like a hurt person under there too. But it was so like a person that lacked in appreciation, really. And so cultivating my state of gratitude for me looks like literally just waking up when I'm journaling and writing a few things I'm grateful for that maybe happened the day before, like little blessings, like, oh, it was kind of a chilly day and I remember just sitting out in the sun for 5 minutes. That was really nice. Or my friend complimented me. That was really sweet of her. She didn't have to do that. Just little things that happen, so that you're always like for the rest of the day, you're kind of looking out for these things. Because if you think about it, like if I thought the world was horrible and people are really mean and like everything's going to hell and, humanity's just really bad and wrong, I could spend the rest of my life finding evidence that that's true.
Oh my gosh.
Clearly,
Yes. Confirmation bias.
And it is, I mean, in many ways, but at the same time, if I believe the opposite, that, humanity is ultimately good and the world is going in a better place and there's so much to be appreciative of, and my life is amazing, I could spend the rest of my life finding evidence for that too. I mean, like think of us listening to this today. Like we can drive to work and school because our country isn't in a civil war. We're not living in a war-torn country right now. That's not true for a lot of people, right? Like we all probably woke up in beds today. We all probably have some food in our fridge. Like it's just incredible when you change that state of gratitude. You start to appreciate more. And I think when you appreciate more in your life, like whatever it is, whether it's the universe or God, kind of gives you more blessings because you're so open and receiving to them. So I know those aren't like specifically attached to like a goal or a dream, but I think really getting in that frame of mind is what opens the doors in the mind to think differently and therefore take advantage of new ideas and new opportunities that might come to you. So you said everyday people, I think of someone who's working a job, like a so-so job, they're in a 9 to 5, they're paying the bills, like they have this routine, but they might not be doing, what they really, really are passionate about. I think just giving themselves those two new habits could really pave the road towards finding what that is and then getting the confidence as well to going for it. And then obviously me with my alcohol-free lifestyle thing, if that piques your interest too, I think taking a break from alcohol is the fastest way you can also get that clarity that you need to go after your big goals.
I love that. I love that. And what's the best way to contact you if they want to do that?
Absolutely. So my new book is coming out January 4th, and it's called Euphoric: Ditch Alcohol and Gain a Happier, More Confident You. And that is like a really cool way to learn about how amazing your body, your mind, and your soul will respond to a break from alcohol, all the benefits that you'll get, and also to learn how to do it so that you just have all the guidance and the mindset tips and tricks you need. And anyone can get that right now at euphoricbook.com/gift. And I have a special gift there for all your listeners to be able to get a 31-day guide to prepare them and get them, like every day they have a little mindset tip and a little lesson to be able to kind of change their beliefs around alcohol so that they feel really amazing and free without it. So euphoricbook.com/gift is where someone could pre-order the book right now and get that really cool gift. And then if anyone's interested in, like I said, you said contacting me, working with me, I also have a podcast called Euphoric Podcast. All my other stuff, it's at euphoricaf.com.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And the podcast is called Euphoric Podcast.
Euphoric the podcast, correct. And then I'm also on Instagram, and that's euphoric.af.
Awesome. And all of that will be in the show notes for sure under the contact Karolina aspect of it. Just a quick question. If you get 10,000 pre-orders, do you become a New York Times bestseller?
If the politics of the editorial list make it out, yeah. So that's why pre-orders are so important to authors, because it doesn't just count the 1 week, it's all the weeks before the book came out, right?
Yeah.
So that's why authors are always like, pre-order my book. It's
But it's like, so you don't have to get 10,000 pre-orders in 1 week. It's like 10,000 pre-orders in like 52 weeks and boom, New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah. So it's the weeks in your launch before. So most people launch around 3 months before their official date, which is what that period I'm in right now. So yeah, trying to get as many pre-orders as possible. And if anyone in your audience is interested in helping me out in that goal, I'd appreciate it so much.
Just curious, how many pre-orders do you have right now?
I think we're in the hundreds. So the multiple hundreds right now. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think we can definitely get you to 10,000. I'm going to like spend my days just walking around and be like, hey, go pre-order this book.
You're so sweet. That'd be amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I genuinely think we're going to get you there. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. Now we're going to jump into our Thriving 3 and just hearing a little bit about what you do in your life to take care of yourself, take in information, and take action. So what is your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
Yeah, so super hard question, like so hard, right? Like it's like, what's my favorite book of the month, you mean? One book that like really, really changed my worldview is called Leveraging the Universe. Leveraging the Universe. And it's really about this idea that our thoughts create our reality, which is kind of an idea that's been around for a while. Some people call it like the law of attraction. But this book kind of shares about this concept in a really unique and different way, about how like kind of like how I was sharing with gratitude, like the things we focus on, the things that we concentrate on, the things that we visualize in our minds the most is kind of what we bring out in our reality, whether it's actually some woo-woo thing that the universe is like matching our thoughts, or that's just what we're so focused on subconsciously that that's how we act. You know what I mean? And so I really feel that like being supported by something bigger than me, and I like to call it the universe, is such a like uplifting thought, to just feel like something has my back. And like the more I share appreciation and the more I share gratitude and the more I focus on what I want versus focusing on what I don't want, which is really hard as a human. Like we're really good at focusing on what I want, right? The more that things I want will kind of come to me and will bring to me. So it's a really lovely book. It's like, I guess, kind of spiritual, but not really that spiritual. It's pretty like practical and like a logical perspective. And it's written by Mike Dooley, who actually got pretty big by writing these like funny notes from the universe. So he would email his audience with these little like poems or quips or just like little jokes that he calls like from the universe. And he has a really cool perspective on that. So this book would make you feel really good. So I definitely recommend you reading it, and could kind of change the way you start thinking and planning things as well.
I love that. Awesome. And what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
One way I like to take care of myself. So I know that self-care is way more than this, but I'm a huge fan of baths. So like, I think that we all have this need to like relax and comfort ourselves. And I think some of our worst habits actually come out of this deep desire to bring us comfort in our lives. So whether it's drinking or watching too much TV or scrolling social media for hours, like whatever bad habit we have, I think it's ultimately this need to comfort ourselves away from like the distraction of how like stressful life can be, or, it's just this like escape we have, right? And I think it's really important to find really healthy ways to bring yourself that feeling and that need without these kind of numbing behaviors. And so for me, like actually leaning in and feeling my feelings has been really important for me. But with that, I still like to up the comfort factor. So like I love me, some like a nice bubble bath. I love like nice candles and rituals, and really kind of carving out some me time in my day. I don't think it's just the bath. It's more this idea of like, I deserve me time and time to just kind of be in solitude and in silence, and like give myself the kind of comfort that I'm looking for, but also honor all of my feelings without kind of distracting them with those numbing behaviors.
I love that. Awesome. And what's one action step you can take right now to really get to those 10,000 pre-orders, but also start helping people find that knock in their heart? Continue to take or take. So it can be something you're already doing too.
Yeah. So for me, my biggest challenge, I would say, and something I'm really working on, is asking for help. Like I grew up like the third child of my parents. They had a lot on their plate. They were super busy. I was really independent, like I never caused any problems. I was just like, did my own thing. Even when I was in like my rebellious teen years, I rebelled and did a lot of dumb crap, but my parents just never knew about it, like it was so funny like that. But so I really possess this independent spirit. And I almost have this like sense that when I ask for help, I'm admitting like weakness or something. And that's not very helpful for someone who's looking to, go after, I think, their bigger dreams, because you can't do it by yourself, and especially when it comes to this book and the business, but especially the book, like I actually have to get out of my comfort zone and ask people for help, whether it's like, hey, can you share this with your audience, or hey, can you write a review, or hey, can you join this book launch team, or hey, can you get the book? You know what I mean? And for me, that's a huge step of growth. And it's something I'm working on every day, and I'll probably be working on it for the rest of my life. But I wonder if that's something that other people can relate to as well. And it's like the things that are hard sometimes create an easier life, in the moment. And the things that are easy in the moment create like a hard life. So sometimes you just have to get out of your own way and do something outside of your comfort zone to get what you really want in life. So that's what I'll be working on.
I love that. I was actually just listening to, I think it's either Tribe of Mentors. It's one of Tim Ferriss's books, not the 4 Hour Work Week. I can't remember. It's either Tribe for Mentors or the other book that he has that's really big. But one of the quotes in there was, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. So literally what you were just talking about. So
That's probably where I saw it too.
also,
we are everything we read, everything we absorb, right? Like it's an amalgam of that. And that's why I think learning is so cool, because then you have that wisdom to help other people based on all the things that you digested, right?
yeah, no, exactly. That's people will be like, Timmy, that was a good idea. And I was like, I read it in a book. um, but asking for help, that is actually a common one that we get. I think I've gotten it like 5 or 6 times in the past couple of weeks in recording. So it's not uncommon. And I also struggle with it. So I feel that. But Karolina, is there anything else that you want to chat about before we sign off?
I think what you're doing is just really amazing. Like this focus on, helping people reach their goals and their dreams. And, like I said in the beginning, we have this one life to live. And I think we're just so terrified of trying and failing. And so it's like easier to just step back and not try, because we don't have to then face that rejection or that criticism or whatever it is. And yet I think that's what leads to so much unfulfillment. And I think we have a lot of unfulfillment in this country. Like it is not normal to choose yourself and choose your dreams and go after what you really want. That is actually the antithesis of normal. You know what I mean? And we live in a completely different time today. Like the things that are possible for our generation were literally impossible for our parents, and like unimaginable for our grandparents. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we're still raised by that generation who saw realities instead of possibilities. And honestly, like the internet and like the different advances that we've had, you know, in opportunity, like so much has changed that sometimes like we need to kind of get out of our own way again to just believe that, you know, anything is possible, because that lack of fulfillment, I think, is really the death of the soul. And sometimes we do think that can numb ourselves from that fact, you know, like for me, it was drinking. And if you find yourself kind of in that boat, like you're stressed out from your job and then you come home and you have a few drinks and you do it all over again, really kind of asking yourself, like, is that really serving me? You know, how much longer can I keep lying to my soul? And it's not about making these huge black and white choices, right? Like you don't have to quit drinking forever and quit your job or something, but it's about kind of putting down the ways that I think that we distract ourselves. And like for me, it really all happened with a break from alcohol. I first committed to just 30 days and then I kept kind of going over time, you know. But if that's how you, if you're feeling that that's something that's really kind of blocking you lately and blocking you from living this life of purpose and knowing what you really want and having really the courage to go after it, it's really cool to just test, because 30 days later, you know, the time will pass by either way. And it's a really cool experiment, I think, to just see if it makes a difference. You know what I mean? So I just lay that all out in my book as well. If anyone's interested, like I said, euphoricbook.com/gift. And I'm really just, again, inspired by you and your podcast and sharing this message with this world. And I think more young people need to hear it and just believe that like any reality is possible for them. And it's just like one baby step at a time every day. And like one day you'll have a house because you laid down it brick by brick by brick, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Awesome. Well, if you guys are listening to this podcast and you loved what Karolina had to say, make sure to reach out to her. All the ways to contact her will be in the show notes. And make sure to go pre-order that book and also get 5 of your friends to do it. That would be amazing. Thank you guys for listening. Karolina, thank you for coming on the show. As we always ask, send this podcast episode to somebody you know who needs to hear the message. Maybe they're struggling with alcohol or lack of motivation, or they have something in their life that's kind of holding them back. Send them this episode, let them hear the message, connect them to Karolina, and go ahead and shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes. It would be greatly appreciated. And we're out.